Hayden Pugh. This is your EHC-TV sports interview. I'm here with Coach Ali, the men's Emory and Henry soccer coach. Coach, how did you end up here at Emory and Henry?
That's a good question. Well, as you probably know, I was at Limestone University. Was kind of doing my thing, and this past April, Limestone shut down unexpectedly. After sitting there thinking a little bit about what I wanted to do, I got a phone call from Kyle Sensabaugh, the VP of Athletics here at Emory and Henry, 9 p.m. on that day that Limestone shut down. And he, this is a true story, he called me and he says, "Hey, this is Kyle Sensabaugh, at the time, athletic director at Emory and Henry. Please don't hang up the phone." And I started laughing. I was like, God is punishing me. And no disrespect to Emory and Henry, but I was in the top of the South Atlantic Conference, competing to win national championships. And then you're sitting there, suddenly one day your school is shut down and you're talking to the team that hadn't won a soccer game in 4 years. And I was probably on my way to UNC Asheville at that time. I was negotiating with them, but I loved the vision of Kyle and then Lou, Dr. Fincher, of what they wanted this to look like. And it just kind of inspired me in a way. I like to build things. And I did that at Gardner-Webb when I was the assistant coach and associate head coach, with limited resources, and kind of missed that part of it where you kind of start from scratch and you're trying to figure it out. And that's kind of how, and I came on a visit. First thing you see is the golf course on campus. It's a beautiful campus, and the setup with the new Food City Sports Complex. It was kind of perfect for a great adventure, I think. And, it's been challenging and it's been tough, but man, I've loved every single second of it. And obviously, like most places, you want to be around people that are good. Kyle is amazing, and he's the first and foremost the reason I'm here. And then it's talking to Dr. Fincher and what she wants this to look like and her vision for the institution. Obviously, you can only imagine that, I'm a little scarred from what happened at at Limestone. It was caught me and my players with a surprise 2 weeks before school semester ends, that the school is announcing they're going to shut down. It was difficult. So I wanted to make sure that the vision was good, and it was that I could be at the right place. And I don't care so much about labels. If not, I'd be in a D1 a long time ago. But I just love this opportunity, and I'm grateful for it. And that's kind of how it came to be.
That's very good to hear. Coming to Emory and Henry, you absolutely had an historic season for our team, especially after being last in the SAC for many years. It's great that you were able to bring them up all the way to 2. How do you feel that season went to your expectations compared to how the school felt that it went?
A great question. No one had actually asked me that question, because they usually just start with the first one. Hey, historic season, blah, blah, blah. Personally, I was very disappointed because, I don't know if you guys remember, but in the last game of the season, if you had won that game, we become co-regular season champions. We're up 1-0. At 89, was it 35, and they equalized at 89-58 with 2 seconds left. You cannot not be disappointed. And then we go on and we lose to them again in the semifinal. We should have won that game, but very disappointing. My goals are never to be second. Not saying that in any way, like, I understand where we came from. I understand what it took to get to where we are right now, but like most competitors, you're never going to a meet or into a match or a competition and celebrate second places, at least not in my business. And so it was difficult, but then you also got to keep in mind, coming in like mid-May, end of May, and trying to figure it out. in that context, it's a great step in the right direction of where we want to be, which is ultimately winning a national championship here at Emory and Henry. So in that aspect, it was a great step. But if you're isolated wise, like looking at the end of that season, it was pretty disappointing, because you're 2 seconds away from winning a regular season. You're not going to sit there and throw a party after that.
I was there. I rushed the field when we scored, and then was heartbroken with the team when it lost. I'm a big soccer fan myself, so I definitely understand how that could be disappointing. Another question I have for you is, you brought in a lot of players this year from France and Spain and other countries. How do you build a team with that sort of culture, especially in your first year out of school, while also keeping in some of the guys from last year?
I would say, look, quality and character doesn't hold a passport. And it doesn't care about your passport. I don't care so much about what you look like, where you're from, or anything like that. I want the best people that can help me win ball games, okay? And that are, number one, that they're great human beings. And so I look for, in soccer is, one of those sports that, it's a global sport. And, I was just in Spain for a week and recruiting and whatnot. And so it's just part of kind of my model of recruiting. I look for, like I said, in our environment, is that there's certain expectations and standard that they have to have, or they need to strive towards. They have to be the hardest working people in the conference. They have to be exceptional human beings that treat people well, that show up for other people, right? And that have ambitions of playing at the highest level and competing at the highest level. Like, if you don't have these things, you can't play for me. It's very difficult to play for me, because you'll get found out. Although I would dream and hope that we will have a bigger presence of South Virginia, kids from Southwest Virginia, we're working on building that environment with the Emory FC, with other projects that we're trying to implement here in this region to increase the quality of soccer education that they're getting here. But in terms of the way they come in and coming from all these different cultures, you do track, so this. In the end of the day, it doesn't matter where you're from when the referee blows that whistle. You're chasing the same things. And when we've been fortunate enough to have an influx of all these different kind of cultures at Emory and Henry, and I love that. I mean, if I was a student here, I would be making friends with all of them, so I have a free place to stay whenever I want to go visiting around the world.
How important is it that your athletes go to other sporting events, and just athletes in general, kind of making friends with other athletes?
Yeah. I'm sure you've noticed that these guys are there on a lot of the events, and they're loud and they're proud. I think that's something that we as an athletic department have to work on. One of my biggest things is that our guys show up. Our guys show up and set the standard, not just on the field, but also supporting your other teammates, because you guys are teammates. It's not, how cool was it against LMU in that game to see in a cold November day that how many of us were there supporting each other? Like, how can we not? We have 2 games coming up this weekend. The men's and women's basketball teams are competing in the last regular season games. I mean, there should be an expectation that the majority of athletes show up to these games and support, our athletes. Yeah, I think that's another expectation as part of our environment, that this team or this athletic department is more than just one person, right? And we have to raise the standard. I've said this before I got here, like, no more, right, does anyone kind of come into our environment and just get easy points and then get to roll in, drive past our beautiful golf course, and that it's going to be an easy day for them. It should be the worst day of their lives when they enter our campus, not in a physical but mentally they come in. It's a difficult place to compete, whether it's on a track team soccer team, football team, basketball team, tennis team, golf team, whatever it is, we are a tough place to play at, and we are tough people to compete against, but we're wonderful people. So we have that expectation that everyone shows up for each other.
Okay, Coach. My last question for you today is going to be, what are your expectations following that very good season, which didn't live up to your standards? How do you plan on building onto that into the spring, and then especially into next fall with, I'm assuming, just as big of a recruiting class?
With we already ahead with the recruiting, but we start planning on the things, and we do a lot of video to analyze. We're playing a tough spring schedule with multiple Division I schools. We probably have the toughest schedule in Division II for soccer next year. We're going down to play Florida Tech and Rollins. Florida Tech was in the final in the NCAA championship. Then we come back, after playing Florida Tech and Rollins, we come back and play Lynn and PBA at home. So 4 out of the top 10 ranked teams in the country is in our first 4 games. And then you obviously have our conference. That's very difficult. So yeah, we have to recruit thereafter too, and I've told my boys on our team that every single one is on a trial until next season. My job is to find better players, right? I have a lot of belief in our guys to take the next step, and continue to improve. But I'm sure you guys saw, we have 2-3 top goalkeepers. An example, Nikolai Bertelsen was our #1 All-American goalkeeper from Limestone coming in. After 5 games, he lost his spot to Baptiste. That's his second. I'm not scared of making tough decisions. I'm going to play the best players. Now Nikolai is bouncing back and doing the right things, but it's a small example of the way we are working, that every single day matters. And as we go into the fall of 26, I don't like to talk about outcomes and goals in terms of, we have this goal of winning a national championship. I can't tell you that's going to happen next year, but, we're working towards it. And then everything that's in our way, we try to, meet that challenge, head on, and hopefully good things will happen. Don't know what will happen in August of 2026. I don't even know what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So just trying to make today better, and then hopefully little by little we'll get to where we want to get, and then have a team that all of you guys can be proud of, right? That's the only goal we have.
Well, thank you very much, Coach. This has been your EHC-TV Sports Interview, and I am Hayden Pugh.